Kerry, can you continue to tell me about your school work and
Oh yeah, as a school teacher. Yeah, I taught at Notre Dame Prep in Pontiac. It was one of the best jobs I've ever had. The kids were awesome. I needed to get out there and make some more money, of course, and experience what public schools like. So I got a job in Livingston County as a school teacher. I was highly qualified by the state and the school as a vocational and general ed teacher with 5 majors, but I had a license to teach English, history, and computer-aided design. And it was great until I ran for office with an R after my name. And then every other week I got written up for something or other. It was kind of funny. And they asked me what it was like to be a conservative Republican in a liberal public school. And I said, well, I felt a lot like Jane Fonda would feel at a VFW convention.
is that when they blamed you for doing something?
Oh yeah, they asked me, well, let's see, I was accused of sexually harassing a student because I asked her what her natural hair color was. Well, it seemed like an honest question. I mean, you've seen the kids that particular day, her hair was orange, the week before it was green, the week before that was purple. She happened to be one of my favorite students, but somebody else in the classroom complained, and we won't go into that, but it was a young man who didn't like older men because he was abused as a child. So yeah, this is what it is. And the left will take everything they can and spin it. And yeah, but the kids were great. I actually, I think it was 26 or 27 of my students joined the Michigan National Guard because their favorite teacher was a National Guardsman. And I went to Iraq with 2 of my former students. And talk about pressure. Can you imagine what would have happened to me if any one of those kids were hurt in Iraq? Their parents would be hounding me. But it is what it is. This is, it's not a rich, affluent community that I taught in. And the only way for these kids to get a college education at that time was the GI Bill. And they saw their favorite teacher. That's how he got to college. My dad was a factory worker with 5 sons. So the only way for me to get to college was to either go get to rich Uncle Sam to cover it after serving 3 years in the military, or pay for it. And I did both.
How about your business that you used to have in Milton? What was it called? Reindeer business?
Oh, that reindeer business, yeah. We, well, my son, I think he was 8 or 10 years old, and he said, Dad, are there really reindeer? And I said, yeah. And I thought about it, and I said, wouldn't it be great if we could get reindeer, live reindeer, train them to hook them up to a sleigh on wheels and do a bunch of parades. And so I did some checking. I found a zoo broker who could arrange to get me 5 reindeer, and they weren't any more than 2 years old, and they actually flew in from Anchorage, Alaska on a C-130. They didn't actually fly, but on a C-130, and we spent, probably 4 months training them to pull a sleigh, and the day before our first parade, we got the reindeer to pull the sleigh and to learn, G and ha and whoa and giddy up. And that was about 23 years ago. And we, as a school teacher, that was pretty good money doing parades and Christmas tree lighting ceremonies, as well as private parties with these live reindeer. And we had a Victorian Santa. He wasn't the red and white Santa, he was Victorian Santa. But if your town had their own regular Santa, we'd put him in the sleigh too. And we had a lot of fun. Shucks, we made anywhere between $15,000 and $30,000 between Thanksgiving and Christmas, putting millions of smiles on kids' faces. And you know what's really strange? Is the Democrats didn't like the competition. They like to think the government's Santa Claus.
After the reindeer, that's when you went into politics. Now you had 2 children. They're what? Are they brother or boy and girls or what? Okay, what's your daughter doing?
What's she doing? Yeah. She's a stay-at-home mom with my 4 grandkids, and she was a school teacher, and her husband's a school teacher. And my son's out in Colorado, works for Vail Corporation, and he owned a business for 4 years here in Michigan, and sold it and decided to retire for a while. And he got bored of playing golf and skiing, but he liked it so much that he didn't want to do it every day, but he wanted a real job. So now he's a mechanic fixing snow machines, snowmobiles, the buses for the Vail Corporation at Breckenridge. He's doing a great job. They like him there. He loves the job. He gets free passes skiing and golfing every year, and he married a doctor.
I was out to your place here about a week ago, Kerry, and I noticed that I think it was your daughter's house. And I noticed that your grandchildren were around you quite a bit. You have a close family, don't you?
Yes, sir. Very close. My grandkids are, they're involved in the campaign. They're involved in, when we pick our grapes and make wine and vinegar, they pick the grapes, they jump in the container to squish the grapes for us, smash them so we can turn them into juice, which becomes wine or vinegar. And their favorite time with Grandpa is, or they call me Bappa, is when I make homemade ice cream. Because I make about 2 gallons at a time, and they just can't wait till it's done.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a kind of a person that I would like to see represent us. He's just a normal person.
Oh, wait. Who said normal? Who said normal?
I did.
Okay, well, I'm not normal, just so you know. I'm not normal. I'm not crazy. What's crazy is voting for a gas tax when 80% of the population in your state says no, voting to tax senior pensions, or voting to expand or Medicare expansion. That's crazy. I'm not normal, because if that's normal, I prefer to be on the other side, where we don't vote to raise taxes, we don't vote to expand Obamacare. And we want to be transparent and open to the very people that are paying your salary, which are the voters.
Well, people, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from Kerry. Anything else, Kerry?
Ken, all I can say is thank you very much for the opportunity to do this on our very low budget in this campaign. But we're going to get the job done. It's nice to know people are waking up and actually doing their homework and seeing who this guy really is. Yeah, he's a reindeer rancher, a school teacher, former congressman who did it right. And when I go back, I'm going to hit the ground running. Thank you.